Welcome to the importance and power of reading. I'm Michelle, the computer lady, your host. During some awful dark times in America, Black people were denied the ability to read, to learn how to read, to write, or to even own books. And that has hampered our communities up until this day. Now we're going to have important conversations about the importance and power of reading.
Hi, everybody. It's Michelle, the computer lady, for your new segment on the importance and power of reading. Today, I have a phenomenal and epic guest. Her name is Melody. And guess what? She works to help daycares get certified. Melanie, oh my God, it is so good to have you on the program. Tell everybody about yourself, where you are, and how they can find you.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am excited to be here, and thank you so much, Miss Michelle, for having me here. As she stated, my name is Melody. I am the founder of the Early Childhood Educators Circle Time. That is our long name, but our small name is ECE Circle Time. I want to do that again. I just taught you something. That is ECE Circle Time. It is a virtual community and also physical community where early childhood educators, parents, child care providers, those who serve young children come to connect, network, and to be uplifted. As an early childhood educator and a parent of young children, it is so important to not only have a community for my children, but also have a community as a parent. So I'm so excited to be here with you all today to share about the importance of reading. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you help people get certified in their daycares, national accreditation. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes. So when we are not having an online virtual session with parents and educators, our signature program is to ensure that child care and early childhood education programs across the country become nationally accredited. That means that they go beyond their local, their state, or their city ordinance to become a part of a bigger group. It's not many, less than 10% of child care programs in the country are accredited. And I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to help programs to increase their visibility, but also better their services for the children, families, and the communities.
That is absolutely amazing. Now, I
Thank
got to
you.
ask you a few questions. So, as they say, buckle in. We're going to have a fun ride as we
Yes,
explore the importance and power of reading. Number
yes,
one, did you like reading as a child?
yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was introduced to reading really through the Dick and Jane books. I don't want to say that far, but golden books. That was my era of learning how to read. See Jane Run, those type of books. So for me, it is very important to have exposure. What we have learned in our research and in our position is that children who lack having access to reading materials or libraries, they are often way behind children who may get a head start or a preschool experience. When we're working with young children, the time that we start to read to them, even for the mother while they're in the womb, they begin to listen to the synaptics and learn how to speak and formulate their ideas. So reading is important even before they come, but also for parents. What we find is that the children who are not exposed to reading in the home are often behind by several years and thousands of words.
And you heard it here how important it is to read to babies even inside as
Yes,
they develop so they can develop their language and
yes.
synopsis skills. That's absolutely amazing. Now, as we talk about reading, who was your major influencer around reading? Mom, dad, grandma, teacher, a mentor?
Yes. Both of my parents were very very, I'll say, very studious, and also led an expectation for reading for me and my sister. Even as a quiet child, when I began to read, that's where I began to explore and not. and look outside of myself also for answers. So it's so important because that's the child's first introduction into being acclimated with the world.
Oh, most definitely. I totally agree. So, into that, what was your favorite book as a child? What are the books that excite you and you still remember? Share it with us today.
One of my favorite books was Are You My Mother by John P.D. Eastman. That was along with the Dr. Seuss books. I've always enjoyed the Berenstain books, and I always enjoyed the Golden books. So those books are my favorite ones, but the most absolute one is always going to be P.D. Eastman's Are You My Mother?
That is absolutely awesome. So, what are you reading right now? What can you recommend? Both, it doesn't matter whether they're children's books or books for adults.
The thing that I will always recommend, and is most unorthodox, in an unorthodox way, would be the Bible, because the way that the names are formulated, the answerings and the response of questions, it also brings in a little bit of old standard English and gives words that we don't often use. So some of those simple phrases, it may also help to build their confidence. Simple things as Psalms and Proverbs. Not only are they reading, but they're also gaining life lessons. Any of those will always be helpful. Any books that you have written, they can also read. Mommy, I want to be an entrepreneur. That's my shameless plug. My daughter loves that book. She enjoyed your book. But any and everything, reading doesn't just start with reading a book. It is a collaboration of symbols and signs. So when we're riding down the street, as we begin to point out fast food signs, that is actually pre-reading, and that's something that's very important. So any and everything that you can see, the ingredients, that is also helpful.
Well, so you talk about your daughter. You only have one little girl?
I have two. I have two daughters. I have two daughters. They're now in elementary school, but they were introduced to your book about 2 years ago and enjoyed it. And one thing I hadn't shared is during that time, I was starting my entrepreneur journey. And my daughter said to me, Mom, I like you as an entrepreneur. And I realized that your book helped to explain exactly what it is that I'm doing in a way that she understood, and also is able to respect the work that I'm putting in now to help other people with their children.
Well, that is absolutely awesome. And thank you. I'm so glad that she enjoyed it. And just
Yes.
so you know, we got another book coming out soon, a big old fundraiser going on called Mommy, What is the Acetabulum? And I'll make sure that, hey, who knows, somebody might get a copy for their birthday.
Yes, she would love it. Yes.
Awesome.
Amazing.
So now we talked about you reading as a child and some of the things that you're reading today. The other part of that is, do any of your kids struggle with reading or have they ever struggled with reading?
I will say the benefit for my children is that I am an early childhood educator. I have been an early childhood educator for 15 years. And then their father's also an avid reader too. So between listening to him and seeing books in his home, and also seeing books in my home, it became easier for them. My oldest daughter, she began reading when she was one. My second daughter, she didn't begin reading so early. What she did do, and which was helpful, I noticed with her, is that she would begin to say out the words, or use the iPhone to communicate, to help her along with reading. So it has been fairly easy for us, but I will contribute that to my educational experience and background, and then also their father being an avid reader too.
That is awesome. So you guys have been modeling reading, and that is so important for our children today because a lot of times a child will do what they see you do. If they see you with a book and they see you ooh and ah, and you're really excited, then they're gonna want to do it too. And so those are
Yes.
very poignant statements on the power of reading. Now, what books are they reading these days?
So my daughter has been introduced to chapter books. And so she's been introduced to chapter books. So she's enjoying the chapter books, and it misses my name, but my youngest daughter, she just enjoys reading. She wants to read whatever I'm reading. So if I'm reading a book, she needs to read a book, because in my business, they also help me too when I go out to centers. And so they understand the standards of what they're looking for. As I stated earlier, any and everything they read or they want to read. And sometimes I say, hey, you don't need to read that. But they want to answer the phone and be engaged. So it's just really important that everything, they're reading everything. But now it is the need for chapter books and series to see what happens at the beginning to the end. And I have, when my youngest daughter, we went to the school store, and we purchased blank books. And so she's been writing her own story about the girl that goes to the Subway house. So
I
maybe be on
love
the
it.
lookout for that. But it's so nice, with having reading and encouraging reading, and bringing, especially for parents, even when they're not in the classroom, drawing pictures with them and saying, tell me about your picture, and writing down their words helps them to realize that, hey, I can be an author too. And the things that I say, the words that I say, they matter. Just reading in general is just so important.
Oh, most definitely. And on that, we've got to take a small commercial break. We got to pay the bills. We'll be right back with
Yes.
my great guest, Melody, Circle Time, on the importance of power reading. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Are you a company, business, or service that believes in social responsibility? Would you like to make a positive impact? You can. You can sponsor this program and be seen by 2 million viewers on the PIC TV network. Call 770-367-1268 for more information today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this segment on the importance and power of reading. Oh my gosh, we're having so much fun. I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Melody McGuire, and she helps people with daycare. She helps them get accreditation. Melody has been an amazing guest, and we've been talking about how we can get our kids to read, and not only that, but what they're reading today. Because she's got a daughter that's reading chapter books, and she has a daughter that's been introduced to making books by drawing pictures and then writing out the words and how they make her feel. And I think that's absolutely amazing for kids, because that brings it poignantly to them. Hey, I can be an author. I can make my own book. And that is a great start on this reading journey. Now, let me ask you, as an educator and a professional, how important is it to have books in the home for children to access and read and have those communications around books?
Thank you. Having books in the home is very important. I had been able to see the difference between children that have books in home in the early childhood setting versus those that don't. We begin to notice that, especially around the age of 1 or 2, if they do have books in home, they're less likely to tear those books up or put them in their mouths. They're even at the point of holding the books correctly, because they may not understand or know the words, but they will know how the words look and how to position. So with having those books at home with the children, it begins to improve their cognitive development. It improves their ability to be able to formulate sentences and ideas, and especially increase their vocabulary. Having those books at home also helps the children to begin to speak sooner because they learn sentence structure and they learn how to connect, and most importantly it also boosts their memory. Seeing the words around and having those books or a word enriched environment at home and at school does a huge difference for children when they're going into kindergarten, especially through the third grade, of being able to understand. It helps with their math concepts because they can hear the sentence and see it and visualize it and be able to answer. So books are important. Carry them in your car, have them in a bag somewhere with you. Reach for the book before you reach for the tablet.
I love it. So now let's talk to parents that might have a child that's struggling reading. Do you have some tips on what they can do to help their children if they're struggling in their reading journey?
Most definitely. One is, do not be frustrated. Do not be frustrated. Everybody learns on their own. Everybody learns on their own. Starting out with drawing pictures and telling them to say, tell me about your story. As you're writing their words, they begin to see their words alive. And when they see their words alive, they're going to want to continue. The next thing that you should also do is get a set of books that they like. Read that same book and doing something as simple as finger reading, taking your hand with each and every word, sounding them out, because then that repetition that also boosts their memory, and they'll begin to want to read that book and they'll start connecting those same words to other words. So, one, give yourself a breather, realizing that as far as developmental milestones and growth, everybody is unique and individual. Where you may see them or feel as if they're struggling, within 1 year or so of consistency, they will be past. But you got to, one, take a deep breath. Understand that they're individual just like you. They're not like your neighbors or your other children. They are themselves. Allow them that space, build that rapport and consistency with them, and you'll see the difference.
I love that. I love that. So, parents, you heard it here. If you have a child that's struggling, you can help them by being consistent. But
Yeah,
number one, you be relaxed and don't be frustrated because we all learn at our own pace.
that's right.
Now, you said you have one daughter that read really early, another daughter that read a little bit later. How early did you start reading as a child? Do you remember?
Yes, I started reading as a child around 4 and 5. My sister, she was older, she was going to school. My nanny that cared for us, we had books, and I wanted to do everything that my older sister was doing. So seeing even the same as my mother, my father, they were military and ministers, so they traveled. But because there was an enriched environment and had a nanny that understood the importance, that helped me too. And I was also say that for me, even in elementary school, I had an experience where back in the day they put me in chapter one. That was the helping with the reading, but it was because I didn't speak. Once I opened my mouth, they realized that, hey, she really knows this, but I didn't talk. So I say that to say, in back into recognition, everybody, even with my children, they learn at their own rate. But when it comes to building a rapport and have a relationship with the child, you'll see them blossom. So once I had that individual relationship with my educators when I went to elementary school, then they were able to see all of the skill set that I had because I wasn't used to being in a social environment. My parents are studious, but I did not have the early childhood experience. So when I went into elementary school, they were trying to figure out, well, she doesn't speak. Can she speak? Can she read? But it was because of the relationship. So for those of you who have young children, if you have them in a setting, make sure that, and here is a tip, when you go into your child's classroom, they should have at least 3 books per child. So if you have them in a daycare setting and that classroom has 10 children, you should be looking for 30 books. That's just a tip. In those young settings, there needs to be at least 3 books per child represented a variety of books. So for me, yes, I didn't read I'll say just, extensively until elementary school, but it was easier for me because I was used to hearing the words and I was used to articulating, but at that time it was building a rapport with the educators.
Well, that is very, very plain and it's stringent because parents, we need to know what's going on at the school. That's
Yes.
why, and we know that parents are busy, but make that little time in order to make sure that your children are successful. Talk with the teacher. Now we have all the wonderful technology, and you can Zoom your PTA meetings, you can Zoom your parent teacher conferences, but make sure you know what they're doing. Make sure that you know. And make a pop up visit. That's what my mama used to do. She'd pop up to the schools like, I want to see how you were doing. I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
but it was good because number one, I love reading. I've always loved reading. I've been reading since I was 2.5. So, and having my mom at school, it was always exciting. My thing for youngsters too, when they see you and you come to their school and they were like, that's my mom or that's my dad and da 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 da. And this is what we read at home. So really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, on that, as you know, this time goes fast. We got to take another commercial break, and we're going to be right back with my best guest, Miss Melody, as we continue to talk about the importance and power of reading. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Since 1877, Jackson State University has been training students for a life of service and leadership to impact our global society. Ranked among the best HBCUs in the country, Jackson State University offers 47 undergraduate, 37 master's, 1 specialist, and 13 doctoral degree programs. Whether you're interested in the arts, education, public health, the sciences, or business, we're here to take you from ready to JSU ready. Visit jsums.edu and apply today.
Welcome back to the importance and power of reading. I have an amazing guest, Melody McGuire, and she's been telling us how to make sure that our kids stay engaged and how we're engaged. She is absolutely phenomenal. And what I like so much about Melody is number one, she's given us examples on how to help our kids read more, read better, and how to get them engaged and keep them reading. So very important. Now, I've got to ask you, because you're a professional and an educator, how has reading helped you in your life's journey?
Reading has been very important. Reading is one of the reasons why, just in general, not only as an entrepreneur, I've been able to, within the past year, to help 17 programs all across the country to become nationally accredited. With reading, that help with building, thank you, my cognitive ability and the ability to be able to really understand and break things down to make it simple. So reading helps in every aspect. It helps with the comprehension. It helps with the ability to also be able to articulate and communicate what is needed. If you aren't able to express yourself, sometimes it's because we have a lack of words, but having words and knowing how to use those words make a difference. And reading, for me professionally, helped me because we go over every program's policies, procedures, and handbooks. So that means that there's a lot of reading to be able to help those programs be to interpret and or meet national standards. It's really important.
Well, folks, you heard it here. Reading is in every aspect of her life, every aspect of her entrepreneur journey, and also in her ability to help others get certified nationally in their daycare centers. So, on that, what do you think the state of literacy is among our children and adolescents here in the United States when we talk about reading and the reading journey?
Ooh, wait, that is a heavy loaded question. And I will say, in all honesty, we're stagnant. We are stagnant. Just as I expressed to you earlier, especially with parents that have children in early childhood settings going into the classroom and making sure that there's a minimum of 3 books per child, that's not happening. We also have to look at the fact that there were so many children who were receiving one on one instructional support or assistance, and for almost 2 years received education behind a computer. And not only just with the education behind the computer, have not had access to be able to go to libraries. So at this point, we are in a critical position, but yet we're still in the best position because you can use the technology to play books on YouTube, to get ebooks, to be able to find apps and games that will help your children begin to work on letter sounding and stringing words together and be able to write. So, though we're in a critical position, we're in the best position to move forward and make a difference.
Well, that's what I wanted to hear. So even though we're in a position that we would call critical as far as literacy, we have ways and we have the ability to turn this around. We
Yes,
can make it better.
yes,
And give parents just a few pointers on how to make it better, if you would.
yes. Making it better is going to be the same as I stated to you earlier. You're going to want to build that rapport with your child. Begin to talk about the things and the words that they see. If you're taking 30 minutes a week, you start right there. Let's draw a picture. And then you begin to tell them, tell me about your picture. Not just, oh, this is nice. Asking those open ended questions. What happened to this person? Why did you want to make this person this color or do or add? Asking those open ended questions, having a rapport, and writing down exactly what they say is going to be helpful. And while you're driving in the car or taking a walk around the neighborhood, point out the words. Help them to understand that everything that they see, it matters because the words are nothing but syllables and sounds that we use to communicate. And if you make it that simple for children to say the things that come out of your mouth, they help with syllables and sounds for us to communicate with one another. It's going to improve that relationship.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. So, parents, you heard it. Draw pictures, then ask questions, ask open ended questions to make sure that they are engaged
Yes,
and write the words to the pictures so they can see their words come to life.
yes,
This way, they know the importance and power of reading. Now, you have girls, but I find that boys tend to be like rambunctious and they like to play a lot and they like to hunt and gather and just do a lot of other things that are outdoorsy. And sometimes we have a hard time quieting the male mind.
mm,
What can we do as parents of boys to help them read more and better and quiet them, get them in that quiet space?
mm. Recognize that your role and your responsibility is not to change them, but embrace them. So, the best way, if you have this child, you have your son, and he wants to run outside, he wants to jump, he wants to play, he wants to camp, come here. Find books about camping. And while he's doing what he's doing, read that book. While you're wanting to build a campsite, go over the directions and say, hey, in order for us to build this tent, we need to read the directions. Make it a part of everything that they're doing. Your responsibility is not to change them, but to embrace them and add in everything that they are interested in into their environment. If he likes trucks, go to the store and purchase books about trucks and read those truck books about that that you bought. And when you embrace them, that's one of the things that I always tell teachers. We put books in every area, every center of the classroom. So if they're in dramatic play, which is the housekeeping, we put books over there so that they can see and relate it. So you as a parent, don't get frustrated. Oh, they're running around, they won't sit down. Eventually they will. And one day you'll be surprised. They may picture read that story, but that lets you know that they got it.
I love it. So you're getting books that is relatable to what that child likes, what
Yes,
that little boy likes, whether
yes,
that's about camping, about trucks. And I
yes.
tell parents this as well. If they're into those little sport card things, the
Hmm.
the trading cards,
Hmm.
they have stats and they have to read the back of them. Have them read those as well.
Yes,
Anything that they're interested in, have them read it to you. And
yes,
then discuss it, what it means.
yes,
This way, you know that everything that they incorporate, they get information from and they learn how
yes.
important it is to read. So really, really good suggestions. Now, what guidance would you give parents of both boys and girls on their ability to make sure that the children read well and read often?
Um, Taking your time. Again, it all boils down to just embracing their needs where they are. If you force it upon them, they're not going to embrace it and it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. We want it to be fun. We want them to want to do it. So embracing them and just presenting them with it is going to make the difference.
And I agree. As long as we make it fun and we embrace them and we meet them where they are, parents,
Yes.
this gets better and better and better. And also, don't forget modeling. They're going to do what they see you do. If they
Yes,
see you
they
pick
are.
up a book and you're excited and you're smiling and you're laughing and you're having a good time,
Hmm.
and even if you don't read it to them, sit them in your lap while you
Yes.
read the book.
Yes.
And that way they can start to get engaged. You're like, oh, I see. And they might ask you a question about the words. Take 5 or 10 minutes, say, hey, let me explain it to you.
Yes.
Now, the
That's
other
it.
thing is, everybody talks about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And
Hmm.
we know that STEM is today and
Yes.
STEM is also the future.
Yes.
How can we make STEM relatable in this reading journey for our kids and
Yeah.
get them to love and gravitate towards STEM subjects and STEM in their lives?
Yes. Embrace it. STEM also happens in the kitchen. It happens in the tub when we're at home because we're talking about how the water gets there. That's a part of technology. STEM is not just a one time experience or creating a science project. STEM is in the kitchen when we're reading the instructions. STEM is when we're going to unlock the door because there was technology that had to create that. So it's not just um, that one time experience, it is about everything that we do. As parents, we have to position ourselves to be eclectic and look at the world that is around us because as I'm looking directly at you, my peripheral and my physiological, I still see and experience everything that's going on. So with parents and with embracing all of literacy and technology, it is stopping and slowing down and taking care of the present moment.
Well, that makes sense. So we need to slow down, number one. We need to make sure that every activity that we have, whether that's cooking, baking, whether we're going outside, whether we're running a tub bath, any of those things that people know and our kids know that that's all part of STEM. It's all part of that science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes,
How things work. Look things up. All these things will direct our children and get them books. There's
yes,
books on robotics, there's books on science, there's books on how leaves change, there's
yes,
books on color. There's so many things that we can get our kids into that gravitate towards STEM that they don't even know. I
yes,
talked about trading cards earlier. They have statistics on the back. That's mathematics.
yes,
So everything that a child can learn is a part of STEM. We just need to let them know that they're learning it and they don't even realize that they're already in STEM. And that's how much fun it is. Now, as a parent, How do you make sure that your two daughters read well? What have you been doing all along to make sure they're successful on this reading journey?
I read with them. I read with them and we engage in the reading and they take time out to read, even when they're playing video games and they are wanting to talk to the other players. Read aloud what they are saying. So that gives me an opportunity to also hear what they are doing and also know who they are talking to. So just always being engaged and taking time out to encourage that. And because they want to learn so much or they want to ask questions, I'll say, hey, go ask Siri or go to YouTube or to Google and put in exactly what you want to know. It may seem as if they're jumping from place to place to place to place, but we're also always learning, just as we're always thinking. So embracing them, but moving along with their flow is how I've been able to ensure that they're reading. And I ask them to read it to me.
That is awesome. So they're
Thank you.
reading to you, you're reading to them, you're engaged with them, you're asking questions, and even when they're playing video games, because that parenting hack, hey, I want you to read to me what you're seeing, what they're saying to you.
Yes.
And this way, not only you're engaged, but you're making sure that your child is safe online. I love that. That's a
Yes.
great, great pointer.
Thank you.
Now, Melody, as we end this segment, I'd like for you to give the parents two or three pointers on how they get their kids to read, how to stay engaged, and then tell everybody where they can reach you
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
if they're in
Awesome.
the daycare setting and they would like to get accreditation.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, thank you for parents and for educators. You can always find me at ECE Circle Time. You can type that into Google. You can type it into one of your platforms that you're on. Just type in ECE Circle Time, and I'm going to show up. If you are interested in becoming a nationally accredited program, definitely go there. And parents, if you want to know about the benefits of your child being in a nationally accredited program, go to that website. Now, I'm going to say specifically again about the importance of reading and why we want to make sure that we're reading because it's also a part of programs that are nationally accredited. There has to be a certain amount of books per child because they're not going to always want to read the same books over and over again with rotating that has to happen in the classroom and it also has to happen at home when you are engaged with your children. Something simple as reading the stop signs, reading the streets, everything about you, because we're always learning. A child learns through play, so even through play, talk about what they're seeing and what they're doing and encourage them to draw the pictures. And I'll share with my daughter's picture book for Miss Michelle so that she can show it to you too. But take time out and spend that time with the children. That's going to be the best way, the best thing to do. When you're reading a magazine, give them a magazine. They're going to model your behavior because they want to be like you too.
And that will wrap up our segment. Thank you so much, Melody, for blessing me with this interview. And
Thank
thank you for
you.
sharing all those wonderful tips on the importance and power of reading.
Yes. Thank you.
So, everybody, you heard it right here. Melody explained if we're engaged, if we make sure that our kids have books and that we model for them, and then we take the time to ask questions about what they're doing. We ask questions about what they hear, what they see, what they're learning. These help us make sure that our children know the importance and power of reading. We'll see you next week. You know what's going on in our society, book banning, and over 38 million children don't have books in their homes. Join me for some exciting segments as we talk about the importance and power of reading with my guest, Mr. Andrew Johnson, CEO of Good Foods. on the PIC TV network, channel 1000.